Hello again, this is Serpentstare, and this is Squiggles, dedicated to Melody and Gigi. It's a game by Tarn Adams of Dwarf Fortress fame, a Bay12Games production. It's exceedingly simple, but it's a game that I've had some fun with, so I want to show it to you. Now, like Dwarf Fortress, this has a guitar track in the background, which is always going to play, and so far we've got this big silly mouse. And also, these are the squiggles. Just a bunch of little dots, each one has a few short little tendrils coming off of it. And this is a very zen kind of gardening sort of game. If I click, or if I click and hold, I can basically take off the current top layer of whatever square I am clicking on. And that reveals the layer underneath. And that can be one of three things. It can be blank, as everything on the top layer at the beginning of a new game is, or it can have one of those food items on it. When the squiggles run into a green food item, they consume it, as you see. And you may not be able to see this yet, but the squiggles that consume food will grow their little tendrils a little bit longer. So I think that one there, the brownish one, probably got some of that food because it seems to have grown a little bit. Now, there are strategies to this. It's very zen. There's a limit to how many layers can be displayed at once. So once you go down a certain number of layers, the top layer will just be removed everywhere in order to keep the number of layers manageable. Now this right here, this is the third thing that can be exposed on a new layer. That is danger. That is deadly. When a squiggle runs into it, it will burn up and be immediately destroyed. And I'm actually going to let that happen intentionally here just to demonstrate it. One of the other features of this game is that the squiggles do move around in an unpredictable manner. They will drift, they will bounce. They generally don't go in straight lines. They can go in fairly straight lines for a while, but I think their momentum has a random variance to it. So this squiggle here is floating around the danger and hasn't hit it yet, although sometimes they'll head directly for it. Your task in this game is to shepherd your little squiggles to collect food and to avoid danger. Now that's the sad sound of a squiggle that's burnt up. It's hit the danger, and it is no more. I will never get to see that squiggle again. However, when squiggles grow from consuming enough food, they will split eventually, occasionally, into 4 squiggles. Now this is one of the strategies for protecting your squiggles from danger. If you dig a trench around the danger, then they can no longer get up to it. Squiggles will always fall down to a lower layer when they happen to come upon an edge, and they cannot get back up to the top one. So a danger square which is completely surrounded by non-dangerous lower squares can't hurt your squiggles. They're safe from it. However, that also means that they can't get back up here to this layer to get, say, these 2 pieces of food. And this is a big part of the reason why I genuinely have played this game for hours. Not because I think it's a fantastic game, but because I find it relaxing, personally. I will frequently boot up this game and play it while I am listening to something that requires my attention but doesn't require all of my attention. Because this game doesn't require as much attention as many other games that I would like to play, and it's an easy thing to just click on in the background while I might be bored and listening to a lecture or having a conversation with a friend and I want just something to click at that I don't actually have to think about, so it's not going to distract me a whole lot from the conversation. So that's what I play this game for, and I've played it quite a lot. And that's why I've played it quite a lot, because I wind up in those situations a fair bit where I don't want to have something that demands my entire focus that's really complicated, but I do want to have something that feels goal-oriented, that I can just mess with. recently, something that I've done in one of my save states. You can save the game. I'll actually show this. Save and quit. You cannot save and continue. You can only save and quit. Save successful. Now, if I load the game, that's my game one save. That is something that I continually go back to. This is the new one, and it picks it back up again. When you save and quit again, it asks if you want to overwrite the previous game. And if you left click, you just come back here because you only allowed to have one save per game. You don't get to create like backups or anything. And if you right click, then it saves over it. I'll show you my previous game here. I have been making a point in this game to try to challenge myself to actually, just for fun, just for the sake of making things a little bit more interesting, I have endeavored to sort my squiggles by color. So I've got the bluish ones over here, I've got a red and a purple one over here, I've got a white one. This is based on the color of the core rather than the tentacles, although they are often similar, they aren't always, and you can see that in the case of this white one with pink tendrils and the purple one with blue. So keeping my green squiggles over here, that's unfortunate, there's a danger there right away, and blue squiggles somewhere else and the purple squiggle somewhere else, and trying to manage it like that. And then occasionally when a squiggle splits, it might have offspring, which cross the boundary enough that I would consider them to be a different color. And then I try to catch them and direct them away again. And unfortunately, because I just quit that game in order... ideally, I was thinking not to have killed my little green buddies, but that's not how it works. If you quit a game of Squiggles, then you are quitting that save slot, and that set of Squiggles and all of the progress you've made with them is lost irretrievably. So, just deleted my save. Oh well. It's always just a zen little thing like this. I had 4,000 points, but I decided not to actually input my score. So yeah, that's Squiggles, and you can silo your little Squiggles into different pits so as to protect them from the dangers, or to make sure that if you have some Squiggles that wind up in a dangerous situation, that's not going to befall all of them. And something that I like to do sometimes is I'll do like that. Now, these two dangerous patches, I might want to put some Squiggles in there and then just watch carefully and try to manage that so that they could potentially get that food and just quickly shut them off from the danger. Whoops. Before they get burned up by it. And if you reveal cells like this, then you can check whether there's danger in them before opening them up to your Squiggles, although there will always be the threat that the danger is in exactly the least convenient place. Like if I have a cell here that I want to invite the Squiggle into, it might be right here when I open the door. So it's a zen game, it's a game of patience, and it's a game that in that capacity I quite enjoy. Yeah, a little garden of Squiggles. I was mentioning that I was having some fun kind of trying to silo distinct colors. And since these things wander around randomly, that is quite difficult. But this is more or less how I would do it. Let's catch the individual Squiggles in individual little pockets, because then I can steer where each of them go. Now, you will have situations like that where a Squiggle that you might not have wanted to go into that pocket does, because they're unpredictable, but then you can expand out that pocket, and in your next layer of digging, You do something like that. And now these two lighter colored bluish ones cannot get over here, and this purple one cannot get over there. And so I've separated them. And then I can like draw paths, and it requires a great deal of patience because these squiggles will certainly not hurry to where they're going. But if I allow this to stay connected, then this squiggle eventually will get over there and join those two. By doing that, that's how you can sort your squiggles. Of course, if you ever do something like this, then these squiggles will wander around loose and they could get in any of these holes, unless you block them off. This one just happens conveniently to go and join the other purple one on its own. There are lots of ways to play. It's just a little toolbox. It has some behaviors. And that's Squiggles. Now once you quit finally and end a run, it'll give you a little high score, and that's how many food your squiggles have eaten collectively. And that's the only way the game ends. Except, presumably, a game could end if you lose your very last squiggle to danger. So a help feature here. A squiggle, the soil, food, danger. So very, very simple little Zen game. And one that I appreciate.